Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another update on the frag tank. Welcome to the ugly phase of the tank. Alright, so we got some new things going on in the tank. Let me just kind of start off with the top. We got the lids in finally. So these are the Kraken lids. They actually came in pretty soon after that video update. That was like 2 months ago. Obviously, you guys haven't seen this in a while. This came in. Very nice lid. I've only owned 2 lids before. Clear view and then the Kraken lids. I think the Kraken wins currently, even though my other lid was a couple years old, so I don't know if they've changed their design or whatever, but this thing's pretty heavy. The cuts are precise, very nice. These are the little doors to feed them on both sides. I have just an Eheim filter here, so it's very easy. The only thing that I would say that's a little bit different that, for me, I personally didn't like was you had to remove the lid on here and put this. I get it, it's like completely flush. It's, sleek or whatever, but I actually like the cutout if it was like kind of a cutout for that. But yeah, I could have requested it, but I was like, yeah, let's just make it simple. So you have the 2 cuts for the light there in the middle. So very simple, very nice. I like it a lot. So that's the new part on here. In terms of the tank, let's kind of go down here. Ugly phase, we're going to have a bunch of algae bloom, even though I waited, I didn't wait the complete 2 months, even though this is about a 2-month update for you guys. I waited about maybe 1 month in, blacked out lights, and these guys were in the quarantine for a while, the 2 fish that you see in here. The wrasse and then the clownfish. This guy was actually from the original other big tank. I wanted to put him in with the wrasse so that the wrasse had somebody to kind of just hang out with during quarantine, eat and all that stuff to get him to eat. But anyways, in there for over 2 months, copper treatment, everything, right? Was chilling, and then the tank was already cycled pretty much a month in. Lights were off. No coral, no nothing in the tank, and it was cycle. So I was just like, man, I can keep ghost feeding it or adding ammonia to it to keep it, going, or I can just add these 2 guys and just kind of get the tank going. But knowing that I would have to turn the lights because I want to see them, we'll get a bunch of algae. And I was like, yeah, let's just roll the dice, whatever, right? And we might get it, might not. Of course, we'll get algae. The tank's in balance, of course. Got some algae on here, which is fine. Added the rack. You see new racks. You see like a little basket that was holding some of the macroalgae. We have some new corals in here as well. These are all mainly just mushroom corals, but we'll get to that in a second here. The ugly phase has been, nothing new. I would say it's just the same algae. I don't really have phosphate in the tank right now. It's either being consumed really fast or it's just reading at close to 0. So I know that there's an imbalance of phosphate with the nitrates, and so anyways, we gotta get the tank balanced by just letting it run and do its course. So probably another couple months we'll kind of get a nice balance in the tank. The only thing I've been doing is water change every 2 weeks. I'm trying to keep it really simple. Added some macroalgae, as you can see in here. Some of the macroalgae, like these ones, were the existing tank, so it was on the other tank. Just transferred it across, and I bought some new ones on little frags here, but they're getting consumed by the nuisance algae. I did add in some pods to the tank as well, so you have like pods that are just attached to the wall. Along with the pods, I started dosing phytoplankton so to keep the pods population alive. So there's just the tank's gonna work itself out eventually, right? Down here with the mushrooms, I didn't add the mushrooms in until about 6 weeks, so closer to the 2-month mark. And I didn't do all of them. I did like maybe 2. And also I didn't add in the ones that were kind of like the nicer ones. I added in some cheaper ones that I didn't mind if it died, right? Like that was a starter one. And then I had another one of these guys over here. And they chilled for like a couple days. They did fine, and I added like 1 or 2 more every week, pretty much. And so now we have a couple mushrooms, and we have a couple more down on the sump. I'll show you guys in a little bit here. these were supposed to be the macroalgae, but they kept getting like, I don't know, dying and falling off, and then I just put them in this bucket here until they can kind of grow pretty big, and I'll try to reattach them. I'm thinking about removing the rocks back there because initially I was going to glue the macroalgae onto the rocks, but I forgot that gluing macroalgae sucks and it doesn't really attach, and eventually like that part that you glue kind of disintegrates away, and then boom, it just falls off anyways. So I'm thinking about removing the rocks and just getting a couple of these baskets and putting them in the back and just keeping the macroalgae in like this, or somehow to get them to attach naturally onto these rocks, and push some of these back, because it's just going to be a frag tank anyways, and we need more room for frags, and these are just starter frags, right? And it's already kind of taking a lot of space, especially with the rocks in place. So I might just push everything back with the rock empty, and just that way we have more open space up here in front as well. Let's quickly take a look at this guy here, this wrasse. I'll put the name in the bottom. But I've been trying to, this is one of my favorite wrasse that I've been trying to get in the main tank for a while. This is actually my 4th attempt at this fish. They are just very, very picky. Just any wrasse in general, especially going through like copper treatment and stuff like that. They're really sensitive to copper. The longest one I had was like almost a month in quarantine before it like died, unfortunately. And luckily this guy here went through the complete copper quarantine, ate really well, survived, and finally was able to be placed in here. But those guys are a little bit tricky. Any wrasses, I think, is a little bit tricky, but I'm glad that guy made it. And we're in this tank. So this tank's gonna be pretty much some keeping like fish that I normally never had before, or fish that normally would just something I wouldn't have in the main display. So there's going to probably be like maybe 2-3 more fish I would like to keep. I don't have anything else going on in the quarantine because I'm just waiting for that fish or whatever to pop up, or a fish that I'd like to pop up. The only other one, actually, I take back, is a like a goby, like a neon goby. The one little fish that looks like this, that kind of just like, it's all over the place. He's in quarantine now. It's I want to say almost 2 months in quarantine. So the guy's almost ready to be in here, so maybe the next update you'll just see him in there. But the only problem with that guy is it's so little. He's definitely gonna go over the overflow box whenever he wants to. So that's the only thing I'm worried about, keeping that guy in there. But we'll see. We'll throw him in here and we'll see what happens with him. Algae eater wise, I probably can't keep any algae eaters in here, like just tangs or whatever, just because they'll eat the macroalgae. The only other thing that can help is this guy up here. We got 2 tuxedo urchins from the main display that I transfer across over here so that it can help control some of the algae. I do have like a small cleanup crew, some trophy snails, astrea snails, just to kind of help maintain the rocks. Eventually it's going to balance itself out and these algae is going to be gone. So, you know, I don't want to overburden a tank with too much cleanup crew, because it's not really that much algae. It's just on the rocks, because, you know, the rocks was dry and it's going to have, you know, it's going to leach a bunch of like phosphates and stuff from the rocks. So yeah, if I remove both of those rocks, I bet you this tank would be clear in a couple weeks easily. It's just mainly the rocks that are going to get all the algae. But anyways, we may change our mind down the road, but we'll see. So that is the main display here. We have some more mushrooms here. Like I said, I started moving, like this is a Frank bounce mushroom, and this is a flash bounce mushroom. This is a tequila sunset mushroom. I started moving some of the nicer ones into here. This is a Cali Kid. What is it? Cali Kid something. Cali Kid Mr. Freak or something like that. Bounce. So we have at least some backups in here as well. So a lot of the moms and stuff are in the main display, but again, this is going to be a backup tank for some of the frags. If I have some additional frags or whatever, I'll have them in here. I did throw in some of these guys because these guys were just pieces on the floor on the main display tank. Threw them here because I wanted to see how they will respond to this tank. I just want to give me an indicator of like, yeah, it's going to be pretty good to put in some LPS or not. because it's very, very early. But I mean, they're doing okay. I mean, it's just like, meh, it's not the best, but they're surviving, I guess. So I think LPS will be like the chalices and stuff will be fine, but I want to wait a little bit longer for this tank to mature before putting some chalices and stuff in here. Down here, as you can see, there's tons, tons of algae down here. I haven't gotten a chance to go in there and pluck off manually these algae, but I do have one urchin in here down here just munching on some of that. So we have some more mushrooms, different types of mushrooms down here, but nothing special down here. I might move some macroalgae down here, I'm not sure yet. Throw it in the basket or something. The only difference, or the only thing that's new down here is plankton. I'm dosing plankton now. So that's on that drip right here. It's very, very low right now, 30 to 30 milliliters a day. On the tank that's just barely have anything, right? It's mainly just to keep the pods alive, is what I'm trying to do, is grow up the pod population. And we have filter socks still. I'm just kind of just using the filter socks because there's a lot of algae that I'm just brushing and it's just gonna get kicked up. And then I like to catch a lot of those and then dump them at the end of the week. But eventually we'll probably only have one filter socks, and one I'll probably use a slot for like a calc doser in there with like a stir or something like that. Something like that, that's what I'm thinking. So that we can dose kind of like almost like an easy, simple two-part for it. Instead of a two-part, it's just basically calc glosser. I want to be dosing on this tank to keep it very, very simple. But yeah, so that's it down here. And I haven't set up the Trident yet. The Trident, I'm gonna wait until we actually get. I'm gonna wait until we get a lot more corals and whatnot, so that it's consuming alkalinity and all that stuff. But yeah. This is the tank. Just wanted to give you guys an update in 2 months. If you guys aren't subscribed yet, make sure you guys are subscribed. And like always, next time, guys. Peace.